It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name, as always, is Keren.
And my name, as always, even though I'm thinking about changing my last name, is Etai. And that wasn't a planned comment, but because you said, as always, I'm thinking about adding my mom's last name to my last name.
Yeah, that's so woke and
I know.
Present and...
But I'm just I always felt this connection to my mom's side and this disconnection to my dad's side. And now that my parents are divorced, my mom is taking my dad's name off. She always had both names.
Wait, so what's her family name?
My mom's family name is Arzuan or Arjuan. Depends which side of the conflict of the family you are on. And my dad's name is Ben Simchon. But I will have so many names because I also have a middle name.
How am I going to log into your Netflix account if you change it from
Machluf? I know. Well,
that's the part. You've got a few passwords that I've been using for a couple of free things that I use of yours.
Yeah,
and that would be a bit hard for me.
So I'm not going to expose my password, but let's say it's the same password to everything, and let's say it's based on an album name of a pop star that you may think you know, but you have no idea.
Wow.
Anyway, so yeah, my name is Etai, and I've been thinking about a sentence that I grew up listening to or learning about. So I grew up in Israel, as you know, or you don't. And one of the narratives was people that, dedicated their lives to start something out of nothing. And wherever you fall in the political spectrum, I'm sure we're going to have an episode about that. But it's more about this idea of canceling yourself towards something that you think is better. And one of the most famous quotes...
like nationalism.
Exactly, not even like nationalism. This is nationalism. And one of the most famous quotes is by Trumpeldor. And he said, if you need a wheel, I'm a wheel.
And who is Trumpeldor?
Trumpeldor was
Harry
one
Potter,
of...
yeah?
Yeah, he's a wizard. No, he was he was a Scorpio that lived in 1880. And he came to Israel, to Palestine at the time, and he was basically dedicating his life to create a Jewish country.
He sounds like a wizard.
Not only he sounds like a wizard, he had an interesting quote, and his quote is, you need a wheel, I'm a wheel, but it's a part of a bigger paragraph. And in this paragraph he's saying, if you need a wheel, I'll be a wheel. If you need a nail, I will be a nail. If you need a teacher, I'll be a teacher. You need a doctor, I'll be a doctor. I don't have a name, I don't have psychology, and I don't have an identity. I'm here to serve.
Wow.
And basically, that's kind of the mentality that I grew up with. There's no I, there's no me. There is if you need to be a wheel, if someone tells you, curl up into a ball, and you already look a little bit like a ball when I was a kid, obviously, you start rolling around like a wheel if that's what needed. Change according to the need.
For some reason, that quote and the essence of Trumpeldor the wizard makes me think of your mum and her practical element of service, and also the fact that she hand stitches cushions that are on wheels. Can you explain? She's very crafty, your mum, according to you. I haven't had the delight of meeting her just yet, just of coordinating things with her via WhatsApp, which was a very organized experience that I don't wish to relive. But yeah, she makes things on wheels, so literally you can just put your ass on something and sit on it, and she has created it to make someone's life more comfortable.
Yeah, so my mom's a Capricorn, we've said that before, and she's very practical, and she loves arts and crafts. She's an art teacher and a librarian and a cake lady. She does a lot of things. And one of her art projects that she was into was to turn wheels, car wheels, into stools that are also on wheels. So you can basically rolling around on a wheel that's on wheels. And
Four wheels.
Yes, and she stitches a pillow to it. It's really beautiful. And right now, as you know, my dad's getting married.
Your Aquarius dad.
My Aquarius dad's getting married. not that I, was invited to the wedding or anything, but whatever, I don't care. And he really wants all my siblings to be there, including me. Just didn't invite me. I'm sure he wants me there. Anyway, so my mom is a Capricorn, and my youngest sister is also a Capricorn. And my dad wants my youngest sister to go to the wedding with him in the car. And she doesn't want, because she's overwhelmed with emotions. And as a Capricorn, she doesn't know what to do with it. So she keeps messaging me every now and then on WhatsApp, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Anyway, my dad wanted her to come to the wedding with him in the car, but she doesn't want to. So what's going to happen? They found a very Capricorn solution to a very emotional problem. My dad is going to drive to his wedding by himself. Aquarius. My mom, Capricorn, is going to drive my little sister, Capricorn, in to the wedding. Then my mom is going to drop my sister at the wedding and go run some errands or watch a movie.
Or go to IKEA and treat herself with an IKEA cake or soup, which is her really splurging.
Yes, when we know it. When she wants to spoil herself, she gets a soup in a bowl that's made out of bread. And a few hours later, after my mom's going to finish her errands, she will come and pick up my sister from the wedding.
So she is literally being a wheel?
She's literally being four wheels and in a car, and she's just driving her to the wedding.
It is. She's a very special woman.
She is.
So I guess the question I have, which I think relates to the crazy week/weekends that both you and I have had, what happens when you do not want to be the wheel of life, that burdensome, structured /Jewish/ many things wheel, and you want to reinvent the wheel? You want to change who you are. So you're sick of being a stool or driving your daughter to your ex-husband's wedding or whatever the situation might be for you, and you actually want to change your vibes and recreate yourself.
What a good question. It's a very good, I think you have to be, like, there has to be some happiness and acknowledgement of that even question being asked.
Yeah, is it possible? And how privileged are we that we can even ask this question?
Yes, like, you know what? I've been a wheel for a while. Now I want to be something. I want to be the radio in the car. I want to sing. Well, there's a lot of, obviously, sources that we can turn to. Astrology and Judaism, which we will during this episode and very, very soon. But I really connect to this question and trying to understand it myself. Over the weekend, I went to a festival, to a music festival, and I think it's something that is maybe less of my characteristic. Like, I love the city and I love my comfort. I love the internet. I love apps. I love Instagram. And this festival didn't have reception, but I chose to go. And I think I was...
choose to go.
Yes, and it was... And I think in a way, it's a part of me trying to change it, trying to change myself and explore other ways of being. But I still was a wheel when I was there. I still, in my tent, I was popping vitamins every morning while other people were taking other types of pills that my mind is too fragile to handle. I was in the tent, taking my turmeric, taking my vitamin C, taking my Arma Force.
You also luxed out. Like, you went with a very deluxe crew.
Yes.
You had your creature comforts with you as well.
Definitely. My crew brought a caravan with an air conditioning.
Shower.
There was a shower. I also brought my must-have on festivals, new fresh package of wet wipes, which, you can never go wrong. And I think my favorite part was when we had the meeting of, like, preparing to go to the festival. I really felt my Virgo moon jumping out of my mouth saying, guys, please, let's just all, or maybe it was actually my Venus, my Taurus in Venus, that can be fucked cooking in nature. Guys, everyone just bring $300 cash, and we're going to buy every meal instead of, like, when people like buying cans, and I'm going to make a pasta, I'm going to make some rice, and there's always sand in your food, and I'm like, no, $300 cash. We are going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I think you nailed that festival. Now, hopefully it's okay to mention the festival. It was Rainbow Serpent. I thought it was very sweet that you kept referring to the festival because you didn't really know what it's about or what's going on. So you kept referring to it as Serpent.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to Serpent this weekend, which anyone that knows anything about Rainbow Serpent Doof Doof Festival is that you refer to it as a rainbow, and like you get hyped up about rainbow and like, are you going? What are you doing? Like,
I was trying to be cool and refer to it in like a one-word abbreviation, but I just called it the wrong word. Instead of rainbow, I just kept on saying serpent.
And like, to take it next level, like Rainbow Serpent is a reference to, you know, stories and characters from the Dreaming Aboriginal stories. So it's completely been co-opted by a lot of affluent people with caravans and showers, but that's a discussion for another time. You had a great time. Did you feel like you reinvented yourself whilst there?
Well, obviously, and we're going to talk about it in a bit, but that element of I was trying to recreate myself, I was trying to reinvent my wheel, but I also was very conscious of the wheel that I already am. So I was accepting my vitamins, I was accepting my, you know, buying all the food, and I wasn't trying too hard to pretend to like be this like
Earth
mother or like or drugs, like, you know, a lot of the experience of going to Rainbow Serpent have been on drugs, and like people were constantly taking drugs and talking about it, and in a way I was like left out because I can't have drugs. I'm like lactose intolerant. My mind will literally be shot out of my ass if I take drugs. I'll just go crazy.
Yeah, I don't think you should ever do that.
Exactly. So I was myself, but in a new environment. I was reshaping the wheel maybe. Now, enough about me, Keren.
No, we could go on.
Because you also had an experience, one might call it.
Well, sometimes I have these crazy things that happen to me, not with me, usually to me. And this one was pretty out there, and again made me feel like I really am in an episode of Girls, or Broad City, but probably Girls.
As long as it's not Sex in the City.
Definitely not Sex in the City. I've never been wearing like a $800 dress with a margarita and sitting there and musing on why didn't he call me. It's more like, well, I didn't call him or them. And anyway, so I made reference a couple of episodes ago to you know, a situationship and going through multiple breakups with the same person. Also my discovery that in addition to often being with air signs, I'm also attracted to water signs. So I've talked a lot about my attraction to Scorpios, but I think it's actually a water sign thing, which is so wrong for me. Like, it doesn't work, and it doesn't work for them, and it's a terrible scenario. But anyway, so my ex-situationship, who identifies as an artist and as a Cancerian, contacted me after not communicating with me for a while, which is usually the response that a lot of Geminis get in relationships. So it's not something foreign to me. We usually, you know, scar people emotionally that they don't want to reconnect with us across various platforms. Like, usually I'll want to connect, you know, and be friends on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on, you know, any medium. I'm like, well, why would I not connect with someone again? But not everyone's the same. Anyway, I got contacted asking if I could be in an art show or an exhibition about the relationship breakdown and exploring and recreating the text messages between me and my situationship. Wow. So I had to read the text messages out loud. And the most important part of the story is that I was flown up to Sydney. And this is my biggest dream. Firstly, Sydney is my spiritual mecca. It is where I reinvent myself every time I go there, which is often. I feel emboldened. I feel like I have sun-kissed skin, which I definitely do not have. I feel like my hair is like an earthy ocean waviness. I literally got off the plane this time in Sydney, and I went, yes, Sydney. And I don't even say yes. Like, I find it really strange and uncomfortable to say that. And it just popped out of my little mouth. 9 a.m, I was like, yes, like, come at me, Sydney. And it's so strange because it's like such a different city to how I am in Melbourne, but I love it. And so, yeah, I did get flown there. It was a very cathartic and strange experience. And
so when you say you got flown there,
yes,
you mean your flights? Someone booked your flight?
No, unfortunately, I had to get the flights myself, and because I'm so practical, I didn't get like the expensive ones. I got the cheap ones, but I did get reimbursed for the flights.
Oh my God.
And I did get the selection of what time I wanted to fly, and I got picked up from the airport. I got driven to an arts space, an arts gallery. I got treated like the artist that I now identify as, and I realized that this might be a new therapeutic modality that I'm kind of working with. So if you ever have had a hard breakup with a situationship or a Cancerian, you can then be in an art show where you have to read the text messages of the breakup and be filmed while doing so.
Ooh.
And then afterwards we went swimming in the ocean, which was a very Cancerian healing experience for everyone. Yeah, so it was really, really bizarre. I felt like a celebrity / artist / maybe I'm being exploited, but I don't care because that's kind of cool. And yeah, it was just an amazing whirlwind adventure. And my initial response when asked, by certain parties that maybe weren't communicating with me for a while to participate in this project was yes. I was like, you need a wheel, I'm a wheel. Like, you want to fly me to anywhere to do anything, of course I'll say yes. Like,
it's amazing because in this case, you were a wheel helping that person in their art journey, in their artistic journey, but you stepped out of your comfort zone, which is being filmed and flying, like being filmed reading your own text. I assume is something that you don't do on the reg.
It was so confronting, like reading your own flirty / breakup / crazy messages. And I was very surprised with how exhausting I really am to people, and I'm really sorry to anyone that I've ever been tricky to, but it was a very amazing experience and one that doesn't happen often. I will definitely give people information about the show closer to the date if you've got a spare hour or two in Sydney and you're interested in that. I don't know if I'll be able to stomach actually watching the performance / film, but I definitely feel a bit healed, and I feel like maybe I am an artist in Sydney. Like, definitely not in Melbourne, but like when I'm in Sydney, I am the new version of myself that I've always wanted to be.
That's amazing. And I really would love it if you actually explore that idea of therapy through reading your text. I think it would be great to explore that and to actually...
It was a redo. It was literally a redo.
And it also links with the whole notion of our generation feeling like we are telling our life story every day, literally on our stories on Instagram. And everyone, including us recording this podcast, it's like my life experience is important enough for me to talk about it and share it with the world. The fact that I had a soy latte today, everyone on Instagram needs to know that. The fact that I got a new t-shirt, so I think it's not only it's a good therapeutic way, it's very of our time. Like, you want to heal yourself, make yourself a show. You want to heal yourself, make yourself an Instagram story, make yourself a superstar. And yeah, it's the age of Aquarius. We spoke about it. Now, we're talking about reinventing ourselves. What are the tools that we have in astrology? Because, we don't need to remind
is this an astrology podcast?
It sure is.
What? I thought it was Oprah.
So, 60 seconds for real. So in astrology, we have the concept of the North Node and the South Node. So often we talk about where your Sun is, where your Mars is, where your Ascendant. The North and the South Node are not planets. They're simply directions on your charts. Literally the North Point and the South Point. And it's two opposite signs. Now, what does it mean? They represent your life journey. Where you're coming from, past lives and past experiences, and where you are headed. So your South Node would often be your past lives, and the North Node will be where you're headed in your life.
Does it change with the minute or the hour, or how does it?
It changes, every few hours it changes, because the wheel just turns, and based on where your ascendant is will affect where everything else is. But what it gives you an idea, and that's usually what astrologers will look at when people ask them, what's my life purpose? Why? Because the North Node helps you understand where you're headed. Now, I'll give you an example. My South Node, and also yours, is at Virgo, and my North Node is in Pisces. So your North and the South will always be opposite signs. So if your South Node is Virgo, your North Node will be Pisces. If your South Node is Leo, your North Node will be Aquarius, and so on. Coming from Virgo means coming from a very rigid, earthy, needs structure kind of life, towards Pisces, towards abstract, towards spirituality, towards being emotional.
I do feel very emotional.
Now, you will notice sometimes in your life where you have a lot of people from that North Node, when you try to surround yourself with people that are of that energy. A lot of people do it unconsciously. So maybe check who are the people that you surround yourself with, and see if they are like your South Node or like your North Node. And why is it good? Because I think knowing where you're coming from, and knowing, okay, what are the tools and the challenges that I bring with me? Because it's also tools. The fact that, a Virgo energy could be on top of your shit. The fact that a Virgo energy could be there for others and help others and be, the producer of other people's journeys. It's a tool, but it's also a challenge, because where is me? Where is my feelings? Where is my empathy to myself? So I think knowing where you're coming from is amazing, and also knowing where you're headed to. So do you have maybe an example of you being kind of like on that journey to your North Node, almost there, or trying to kind of manifest that?
I'm inclined to check my North and South Node, because I don't identify with either of them, and I'm not drawn to any of them. So my South Node apparently being Virgo, and also being Pisces, like yours, I definitely haven't come from a structured, organized, rigid, repressed but not rigid. And North Node being Pisces, I guess, I'm walking towards spirituality, but I don't know any Pisces, or that many of them. And
maybe you need to know more.
Maybe I do. And I do feel a very strong connection to Rihanna, and she is a Pisces, so maybe it does make sense. But certainly during my Sydney experience, and going back to that feeling of reinvention and recreation, or it might not be recreation, maybe it's actually just an unveiling of who you really are deep down, and connecting to that path that you're on the way to. I've always deeply thought that I want to be, this surfer girl. And I mean, I can actually hear anyone that knows me laughing and pointing their finger as I say it, because I am kind of the one shaking, going into the water and wanting to be fully clothed and having pale skin that burns even when I think of the sun. And I did grow up with dysmorphic perceptions of my skin color, because my sister is a very pale, red-headed girl, and I always thought that I was the olive-skinned, earthy one in comparison to her, because that's all I really knew growing up. And I was told, you're the dark-skinned one, you're the dark eyes, and your sister has got the blue eyes and the red hair and the pale skin. It turns out both of us have pale skin. I just have dark features. And Rachel Weisz, or Vice, is, making that now an okay thing. Anyway, so I've always wanted to be that surfer chick, and in the last, 6 to 12 months, I thought one day, will I ever be able to dive like a little fish, maybe that Pisces fish, under the wave, and feel that effortlessness of being this Australian gal that just casts off her worries and jumps in. And it really has never happened. I've had people tell me, "Oh, take my hand, we'll jump together." And I am just like, that is a horrible, horrible way to challenge your fears. No. But whilst in Sydney, I was swimming in a very gentle, waveless bay, Rose Bay Beach, I think it was, or Redleaf Beach, sorry, with two friends, Sydney side of friends, and there's a pontoon or a platform in the middle of the gentle bay there, and I was sitting like a beached whale on the pontoon, just, thinking about the UV and how sunburnt I was getting. And my friend, effortlessly jumped in, just taking a dunk. My other friend then jumps in effortlessly, and I was kind of sitting on the precipice on the edge, staring and feeling really anxious about just jumping into a gentle pool, because I'm like, well, what if there's invisible rocks? What if the water goes up my nose and into my eyeballs? And what if I just look really unglamorous whilst doing it and have that ripply effect that like no one else has?
Okay, sorry to interrupt you and abruptly, but that is literally the Virgo sitting on the edge. If being afraid to be the Pisces.
Is there, some Virgos are pretty, they would assess the risk and then go in. I feel
but it's a very like, what if, it's a very like a Virgo. Virgos are very anxious about their health
and so are Geminis.
Mercury energy. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
It's the Mercury, it's true. Virgos and Gemini actually share the same ruling planet, which is Mercury, which makes us pretty chatty. Over analytical. It's true. It's very exhausting. So I'm sitting on the edge, and then there's these two young little girls with their goggles on, smiling, going, Daddy, why is that woman sitting on the edge? And I'm just like, I'm scared. And the girl's like, why are you scared? And then their dad was like, oh, it's so easy. My 6-year-olds can do it. You can do it. And I'm like, well, thank you for the amazing support. But like,
oh my God.
I was, I'm like, maybe I'll push you in. But anyway, and they were just watching me, and then they started jumping in and getting up really quickly, going in and out of the water to show that it's so easy and it's not a big deal. And I really didn't want to shame the 6-year-old. So I said, look away. And they were like, really, they didn't know what was going on, why they had to look away. But they kind of complied, whilst obviously sneaking a few looks. And obviously the end of this story being I jumped in, it was fine. And one of my favorite lines is always, you never regret going in.
Yes,
I didn't regret it, and I'm sure it looked a bit kind of awkward, but it's, like I realized that for me that was actually a very huge and uncomfortable step. And my Virgo, or my South Node, is from a family that is terrified of the ocean and has no reference point for the ocean or swimming as something to take pleasure in and something to feel comfortable in, and something, nature is something that can serve and be more than just something that you avoid and restrict yourself from. So, hopefully I'm heading towards that Piscean or a more free and liberated way of being. And that was huge enough for me. And maybe I'm not going to be, Lane Beachley world title surfing girl winner.
Maybe.
Like there's still time. I mean, I think at 30 you accept that you're not going to become a surfer.
Yeah.
But it was big for me, and I think, maybe we can reinvent ourselves in these small but substantial ways without having to completely overthrow the system. I mean, we're in the age of Aquarius, so that overthrow desire is strong and deep, but I just don't think it works.
Definitely, and it reminds me also of a way that your story reminds me of a way that I also deal with it. So in the festival, for example, during the day, while most of people like recovering or still partying from the night before, I would do workshops. So there's like a schedule.
You love a good workshop.
I love a good workshop. I love, a good icebreaker. And I went to do the workshops that were still like out of my comfort zone. So like your inner wild. I went to your inner wild woman.
Okay.
I went actually with a Libra podcast, with a Libra listener of the podcast, that I went to her Pilates class last weekend, and she also went to the festival, and I was hanging out with her and her Pisces boyfriend. It was inspiring. They were so just happy and lively, and it was just such a delight to...
Yeah, but don't forget your roots, Etai.
I know.
You like to moonlight with lighthearted, effortless, kind, open-minded people. But, you also have, there's also place in your world for being in a caravan with a shower, a
I
Rainbow
know,
Serpent Festival.
but still, like, we went to workshops together. We went to eat vegan food together. It was just like, I don't know, it was beautiful. And
Wow.
you know how Libras and Aries, they connect because they're opposite signs. So we went to this like wild woman dance. I was the only man there. But you know what? We've already talked about, even this week I was calling the bank because my card is about to expire, and I was having a 7-minute conversation with the guy, and then he goes, "Is there anything else I can do for you, ma'am?" And I'm like, "No, thank you."
What?
Yeah, it was fully like, and again, like at this stage, it's like, I don't even flinch.
But he definitely thought you were a wild woman, not just a woman anymore, because you've done that workshop.
Exactly. So we were doing the wild woman workshop dance. And after like 20 minutes, my Aries and her Libra, we were like looking at each other.
Like, fuck this.
We just both were like, fuck this. We just turned around and we went to the tent to listen to Ariana Grande on our phones.
God, thank God.
And it was just amazing. And I was like, that's why I love Libras. But what I was actually going to talk about is I went to a cuddle workshop. So being a Virgo moon, Aries sun, Aquarius rising, there is a huge part for me, and also my upbringing with intimacy. Intimacy being like vulnerable next to people, physical touch, and being intimate with others is something that I am on my life journey as well to work on. And again, also something that I used to accept as this is me, but now I'm like, okay, let's explore that. So I went to a cuddle workshop, which is basically a bunch of strangers and someone that gives you instructions, and at the end there's like a cuddle, and you basically cuddle strangers. But they build it in a way where it's supposed to be a safe space. And you know how they keep saying in workshops, and I don't know if our listeners maybe also experience that as well, when someone goes, this is a safe space. And they think...
So unsafe.
They think that if they say that enough, it becomes a safe space. But I'm like, half of the people here are on drugs currently. Half of the people here are intoxicated by other things. And half of the people here are like just regular people that know nothing about or don't care about, having a safe space. Anyway, so at the end of the day, I did push my boundaries, and I was cuddling a few people, and it was very actually cool to have that intimacy with people that you don't know and you will never know. Even though there was one incident when I thought one person there, and I was convinced is from my hometown, and I went up to him and I was like, "Are you from Israel?" And he said in a very Israeli accent, "No, I'm from Germany." And I was like, "Are you trying to pretend like you're not?" But I was accepting his truth at the time. But I'm still probably on my deathbed, I will wonder what happened there. Who are you?
Maybe his North Node is Virgo and he just wants to identify as German now.
Yeah, or maybe his North Node is asshole. I don't know.
Exactly.
I want to turn to our last resource for the day, because
To Jesus.
Jesus, as Brittany says, go to the light and see Jesus. But also, where Jesus come from is Judaism. So I also want to turn to that. And where we come from is Judaism. We're Jewish. I don't know if we ever mentioned that on the podcast.
I don't think it's something I always identify that strongly with.
Because you're also Italian now with your eyebrows.
I am Italian, yes.
Anyway, so there is a book called Mishnah. And the Mishnah is a source of laws and discussions about Jewish law. Was written...
They love to talk.
They love to talk.
Always to discuss and disagree and discuss and disagree. And it's like, honestly, like, this is why I'm so drawn to cults, where it's like, think, dress, and act this way. Judaism, like, yes, they still definitely tell you, think, dress, and act this way, but we're going to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk about it and argue. We love to argue. And the women will be at home. Arguing at home.
Yes. So this book was written 2,000 and maybe 400 years ago and recorded as well. And now people, all Jews, basically, it's a source of knowledge. And there was one person called Akvaya, son of Mahalel. And he said a beautiful quote that really links into our episode perfectly, I think. And he says, "Know where you're from and where you are going to. and who you will pay to. And then he explains, where you're from, a stinky drop. Where to, worms and dirt. And who are you going to pay to? God. And I think it's really a grounding, and it's basically what he's saying is, you're only from another human, you're only from a stinky drop, from a stinky little sperm. And where you're going to go to, you're going to die, you're going to go to the earth. And who are you going to pay to? God. But I think what he's trying to say, and also what other people that interpreted this text, it's about being humble. And it's about remembering that wherever you're coming from, wherever you're going to, it's about being humble. It's about just knowing that this journey is just your journey. There's nothing more. And I know we are, as we said, a part of this generation that thinks, no. My journey is important. My journey is, I'm Jenny from the fucking block.
Yeah, I'm an artist now. I don't want that to be taken away from me.
I'm Britney Bitch. I'm that. And someone need to make a doco just about me.
Someone did.
Exactly. And about you, this is true. I'm still waiting for my doco to happen. But it's about being humble. And also Kendrick Lamar, another Gemini, that my personal, what I want to do is to print out the lyrics to all of his albums and put them as books, as chapters, and then bury them.
It sounds like a modern
wait.
Mishnah.
No, wait. Yeah, exactly. And then in 500 years or 2,500 years, when people are like, when everyone died and relived, someone's going to dig it out and say, this is the word of God. Because Kendrick Lamar has amazing songs and amazing text. One of them, Bitch, Be Humble, Sit Down, talking about how he grew up, he came from wherever he came from, poverty, crime, and how he got all these things, in a way, kind of like, don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. And saying, be humble. It's not about getting to that Pisces North node. It's not about achieving. It's not about achieving this huge goal. It's about remembering that wherever you're going to end up, be humble, and it's not, basically.
But that sounds basically like we're back to the beginning where you're saying, be a wheel for your country.
And what is astrology? To be a wheel. What is astrology if not a literal wheel, a zodiac wheel? It's not about being anywhere. It's about cycles and life cycles. And it's about, there's no peak to the zodiac sign.
Well, look, as someone that has been stepping into her Leo vibes in the last few weeks since the Leo moon, I don't know if I'm ready to bitch be humble, but I do think it is brilliant words to live by. So whether or not, I guess,
what about
you
sit
are
down?
Wanting to, I do like sitting down a lot, actually. I can identify with the bitch sit down, the bitch be humble. Like, no, you stepped too far. But I guess whether or not we want to be a wheel and be of service and be humble and be just this humble participant in life and to accept wherever we are, or if that shit don't fly with you and you want to reinvent this wheel that you have been ascribed by the burdens of life, if you're just like, that doesn't feel so good. Actually, I'd like to surf, do a half pipe or go skating and do a 180, 360 flip. Well, either of those things are possible to you, and I'm not going to judge you as long as you don't judge me. And
what if I do judge you?
Well, then that's, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable about that. I might need to sit down and think about it for a bit and talk about it. Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening to our rants. Hopefully, wherever you are comfortable with the sad wheel of life that has been cast to you, or you have the energy, the resources, and the wherewithal to recreate that wheel and get $90 flights to Sydney to do so.
Amazing. This is our beat where you're going to enjoy another story from Lori. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Astrology Roast.
It's story time with Lori time. Sit back, recline, it's story time with Lori time. It's telling my story, such a crime. So I just met my current partner, my fiance, and I don't know, things are pretty new. We met at a festival, and I was keeping my options open. He was from Israel. I was just a small town Caulfield girl, And I thought it was unlikely that things would ever work out, that we'd ever find a way to make it work. So I was keeping my options open. I was also dating Raj, a lovely guy that worked at the cafe that I was working at the time. And I was also dating, I was just about to go on another date with another guy that I had actually met on Tinder. I had just started to dabble with Tinder. So my partner Yair and I, we actually, because he was living in Canberra and I was living in Melbourne, we would sort of stay connected by sending a few sexy texts. Everyone loves a little sexy text, little pic here and there, nothing too out there. So I had just been speaking to Yair, and I was getting ready for this other date, and obviously I didn't mention anything to him, but I thought, you know what, I better keep him excited, better keep him in the loop, because my heart was always with him. So I just took a photo of my boobs and I sent it on over, and I'd previously been texting the guy that I was about to go on a date with, and it seems that I actually sent the picture of my boobs to the guy that I was about to go on the date with. And the minute I pressed send, I freaked the fuck out. And I was like, oh my God, I'm texting. Oh my God, don't look at your screen. Please don't look at your screen. You need to delete whatever you just received. I just sent a photo of my boobs. I tried to send a photo of my boobs to my friend, but it didn't work out. It was just on my friend. Please. And so he was so lovely. He promised me he wouldn't look at it. And then he actually texted me a screenshot of his screen where he deleted the photo of my boobs, and he picked me up an hour later.